is mailbag time here on Seattle Seahawks Today. Tyler Jones here with you. Thanks for joining us as we answer your questions after the Hawks' 6-3 win this past Thursday night against the Chicago Bears. Seattle still fighting for their playoff lives as they live to see another day. Where does this team go from here? And also taking a little glimpse into the offseason. What changes could be on the horizon? We'll discuss all of that and more coming up in just a matter of moments. If you enjoyed Seattle's win over the Chicago Bears, spam W in the comments section. Get those W's in there. I want to see at least 300 W's to celebrate that Hawks win. How about them Hawks, right? Getting it done once again. Get the W's in the comments section if you loved that win. Found a way to get it done. That's what matters at the end of the day. We found a way to get it done. Spam W in the comments section. We'll get started with today's show. We begin with a $50 super chat. Bang! From Michael. Michael writes in, you might call this game the greatest game for how ugly this game was. Seriously, though, what the hell were the Bears thinking at the end? I don't know. But you can see why that coaching staff's going to be unemployed here in a few days. Eberflus, of course, already got fired a few weeks ago, and I would imagine that the next head coach is not going to bring many, if any, of those guys back. But yeah, I got to tell you, yes, it was ugly. It was, but you found a way. And the defense, for as much as we're going to sit here and I hear people bitching about this offense, and granted, rightfully so. Let's not take away for a moment what this defense did. All right? Let's not take away from what the defense did, because the defense, as bad as the offense was, the defense was incredible tonight. And to me, when I sit here, we can complain about the offense all we want. And believe me, I understand. But let's not take away from the performance. Did anyone on this defense have a bad night on Thursday? Witherspoon played well. Kobe played well. Ernest Jones played well. Nwosu, Jaron Reed, Rayshon Jenkins, Derek Hall, Rick Wallen. I mean, y'all have been calling for this defense to wake up for years. And now in the second half of the year, it's been a totally different defense what Mike Macdonald's doing. Let's not ignore how good this defense has become in the second half of the year. Connor with a $10 super chat. 2 questions. One, do you think it's worth making the playoffs when we have to play heavy possible Super Bowl contenders like Green Bay or Minnesota and lose like 2022? And what does it take to join the show? Because you're awesome. Well, Connor, appreciate that. You're awesome. Yourself, Connor. As my sister would tell me growing up, you're awesome-er. Yes, it's a new season when you go into the playoffs. Last year, the Green Bay Packers were the number 7 seed. Beat the Dallas Cowboys on the road. Almost beat the San Francisco 49ers. And they were pretty close. Yeah. You don't say no to the opportunity to compete for a title. It's a new season when you get to the playoffs. Everybody's got a 0-0 record. You win this division, you got a home playoff game. We saw a Seahawks team many years ago that was 7-9 as division champions win a playoff game against the New Orleans Saints. You will not say no to the chance to play for a championship. I would rather die trying. I am not one for simping for draft picks and doing that thing. I want to go compete for a championship. And for me, Connor, I'll take that opportunity if they can get that opportunity ahead of them. We'll see how it works out. DK is goated writes in, why did John Schneider not invest in the offensive line? Well, that's a very good question, DK. So you go back to Thursday. Seattle gave up 3 sacks. They rushed for 122 yards, but still looked much like some of the old offensive line we've seen throughout this year. And here's the bottom line. You've invested at the tackle position, used a top 10 pick at Charles Cross, used a third-round pick on Abraham Lucas. But John Schneider is a cheap ass when it comes to the interior of the offensive line. Laken Tomlinson was signed this past year. He's over the hill. We know that. The center position, Olu hasn't been good. Connor Williams wasn't good. Then he retired mid-season, of course. And then the right guard spot, you use some, a third-round pick on Christian Haynes who wasn't ready. Anthony Bradford has not looked good either. It's been just a mess what we've seen from the right guard spot. But it didn't have to be this way. John didn't want to use top picks on guards or centers. A few years ago, they missed on the opportunity to draft Creed Humphrey, who's now the best center in football with the Kansas City Chiefs. So it goes back to John of not seeing the value in the guard spots and the center spots, whether it's paying guys in free agency or whether it's drafting higher for those positions, and it's bit him in the ass. And that's why we're in the position we're in right now. It didn't have to be this way, but that's what John ultimately decided. I hate it, but that's what he's doing. Should the Hawks keep John Schneider? What do you think? Has John made too many mistakes? Are you okay with having 3 straight 9-win seasons? Is this going to turn around, or is this just going to be who the Hawks are? Weigh in, let us know. Why for yes, in for no, if the Hawks should keep John Schneider or not. Today's show is sponsored by Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the place to go for daily fantasy made easy. Here's how it works. Choose 2 or more players on any given category. Get the choice of more or less, whether you're talking fantasy points in football, rebounds in basketball, goals in hockey, all sorts of different categories to choose from. On Prize Picks, it is a big deal this time of year when we're talking football. You can win up to 1,000 times your money. Yes, you heard that right. And on top of that, folks, you can get $50 to play for free when you play $5. You don't even have to win to get the money. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS, promo code CLNS. This week on Prize Picks, not my best performance. I did get the pick right with Caleb Williams. When you don't get an offensive touchdown, it doesn't look great when you put the more on Geno and JSN to score touchdowns. But, hey, that's okay. Better luck next week, right? Play along with me. PrizePicks.com/CLNS, promo code CLNS. The link is in the comments and in the description of today's video. Go to PrizePicks.com/CLNS. Check them out. Run your game. Big Mac says, do you consider this season a success? So here's what I consider a success for the season. The growth of the defense. We very well, at this time next week, might be talking about the Hawks having a 9-8 season for the 3rd straight year. Okay? But not all 9-8 seasons are created equal. What I would say is a defining trait about this team compared to the previous 2 teams that shows optimism going forward is what we've seen from this defense. This defense is way, way better than what we saw the previous 2 years. And you have building blocks. You have pieces for the future. With Devin Witherspoon, Ernest Jones is going to get a new contract. You got Leonard Williams locked up. Julian Love is locked up. He's probably going to go to a Pro Bowl again. You didn't have that the last 2 seasons. And you have a competent system in place. Mike Macdonald is as good of a defensive play caller as anybody in the NFL. Certainly a lot better than Clint Hurt was last year. So a success, I would say that yes, because of where the defense is headed. The offense needs a lot of work. I wonder what they're going to do about Geno's future, what they're going to do about the offensive line, whether Ryan Grubb comes back or not. That remains to be seen. But because of where the defense is headed and where it's going, I would call this a success. There's reason to be optimistic compared to what you were at the last 2 years of where your direction is going forward. Is this season a success for Seattle? Type S for successful, NS for not successful. Weigh in the comment section and let us know if you believe this season is a success or not. Time for about one or two more questions. Let's start with the Boskin. We can't go very far if we play offense like this again. You're not wrong, but does anyone think that the offense is only going to score 6 points again? This was the worst you've played all year, but that's all it's going to be. It's not going to get worse than what you saw. So, Bodiskin, yes, you're right, but it was a one-off. It was a weird night. This is a week-to-week league. Who knows? The Hawks might score 40 next week. Save all their points for the next week. I mean, it's certainly possible. Nitsu with the last question in the mailbag this week. Should Seattle trade away DK to reinforce our O-line? So, Nitsu, it's an interesting idea. Here's the problem, Nitsu. I don't think you have a bad idea, but let me explain further. The wide receiver market has gone so downhill when it comes to value of what you can get for these receivers. I think by most indications, people think that this Seahawks wideout DK Metcalf is a top 10 or top 15 receiver in this league. Most people feel that way. And so when you look at that and how much you have to pay wide receivers, it's a double-edged sword. You know, like you're looking at, all right, if we trade him and somebody else pays him, because of what it would take to pay him, you're not going to get a return on investment. You're going to get maybe a third-round pick. And then, like, all right, you're settling for a rookie offensive lineman at that point. It's not great. It's not ideal. So I think you're better off keeping DK and paying DK because you're just not going to get what you're looking for of a player that's worth DK's value in that same sense. So that's how I feel. I know others disagree, but I just don't see the return on investment being there. If you wanted to trade DK, you should have done so 2 years ago when you could have gotten a first-round pick and maybe even more than that. That day is come and gone. For continuing Seahawks coverage, subscribe now to Seattle Seahawks Today. Tyler Jones here. Appreciate you joining us. Have a great holiday season. We'll see you next time.